Acquired Taste Podcast. We are back. It's your boy Tech Daddy and Ben.
What's your favorite color?
Welcome to Acquired Taste Podcast. If you are new here, we are a history-based podcast. We do a little bit of mystery and music too on the side, but mostly history is our main topic, as in today's as well. If you're new, we do about 15, 20 minutes or so of banter just to get us warmed up a little bit. Then we get into the topic. So stick around. You will get what you came here for. Unless you came here just to hear us bullshit for a minute, then welcome.
Or for stock options, then keep scrolling. Yeah. Also finish the episode, then keep scrolling.
Yeah, there you go. If you are a returning listener, thanks for sticking with us. This is a new year, so we're about to hit our 3rd year anniversary here in a couple months. So thanks for that. We appreciate your support throughout all these years. We have a lot of good stuff coming up this year, so thank you in general. Normally you get forehead kisses, but B is out, Deej is out, and you got me and Ben, so
the men are here.
Yeah. So normally you get the forehead kisses. Just know that in spirit they're given to you by the usuals, but they are unavailable. Speaking of unavailable, DJ is firing for both ends today. So normally I make up some story about where the hell DJ is, but no, this time that boy's sick. That boy is.
He has blown a couple seals.
A couple of suture gaskets.
Couple of gaskets.
So, by the time this episode comes out, he should be better. Either that, that's dysentery right there, he's gonna die.
I played Oregon Trail.
A couple times. Well, this episode, we're recording this episode 2 weeks before it even comes out. So hopefully in 2 weeks he's better.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that. Yeah,
that's what I meant. Yeah,
we got problems.
If he's still sick by at the point of this episode coming out, holy shit!
I'm calling for a wellness check now.
You're just gonna hear him moaning in the background.
It's no different than his normal speech patterns.
Yeah. Anywho, normally we start off with an icebreaker question, and since Deej is sick, I want to start off with that, man. So, if your stomach is upset, dude, what's your go-to, man? What are you drinking for that?
7-Up.
7-Up?
7-Up since childhood.
You know what's funny about that? Because when you mentioned it reminded me of my childhood. I remember my parents was straight up ginger ale, but if that was not available, 7-Up was a very close second.
I remember trying ginger ale when I was a kid and just really not liking it for whatever reason.
It's for our listeners out there that are black or of any ethnicity, you will of any kind of brown culture, you'll probably realize that ginger ale is the elixir of life for our people. It's true. It's fun. But yeah, ginger ale has saved my life so many times. I have some stomach issues in general, and ginger ale saves me on a regular basis. I have to the doctor, not get into it. But anyways,
I'm firmly in the lemon lime camp with the sodas I like to drink.
Well, 7-Up's a great one, dude. Yeah. So I'm not sitting here saying it doesn't work. I mean, if it can't be fixed by Vicks Vapor Rub and or ginger ale, put me in the grave.
Write a note.
Have you seen insurance prices? Do you think they'd learn?
Honestly, I just really like lime.
Sure.
And yeah, because anytime I go to a Mexican restaurant, I had to get one of those lime sodas.
Oh, the Hardee's?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Every time.
I pronounce that right.
I would say Harito, but it sounds like Dorito with an H, so I assume I'm doing it wrong.
Sure. I used to go for the orange one of those.
Oh, okay.
The lime is good too, though. They're all honestly pretty good.
Oh yeah, they are. Except for the grapefruit, that is terrible.
Because of certain medications I'm on, I can actually not drink grapefruit.
I wish I had that issue. Mine got forced upon me by somebody that didn't speak any English.
Oh, sure.
When I was at a Lockeretta, I hate those places, but I was at a Lockeretta and I had a grapefruit soda. Now I am gringo as they come, but I know that there is some whatchamacallit crossover. Crossover with lime and lemon and then English to Spanish. They're very similar, right?
Well, yeah, I mean,
I don't know what grapefruit is.
Limon, so.
Right. And well, they kind of inverse or something.
Sure.
Grapefruit's nowhere on that scale. So how I got a grapefruit soda.
I say grapefruit in Spanish.
So I don't think the guy actually spoke Spanish. I think he didn't speak any language. I think he was just fucking mumbling at me. And he was a plant. is what it was. And that was one of the worst sodas I ever had. And the tortillas were chewy as hell. And I was like, I could not work them down. It was terrible. I hope that place closes.
I was wondering how do you say grapefruit in Spanish, and it's pomelo.
Yeah.
So that's not even.
Yeah, how the fuck does that sound like lime or lemon, you son of a bitch? I know he's listening.
Obviously.
I know he's listening.
Obviously, our podcast has made it that far.
Son of a bitch. I hope he's still there washing dishes till he learns his fucking lesson. I will never forget that flavor. Oh, my God.
Oh, man. Yeah, I can't have it. I don't know what'll happen if I drink it, but the medication that I'm on, it specifically says no grapefruit.
Well, in my case, it was what happened was almost a fight. Like, I was ready to go to blows with the guy. We're like, this is awful. This is awful. Your tortillas are awful. Your soda comprehension skills are awful. The whole thing is awful. Fuck Lockeretta.
I never go there, so this has no effect on me. So
it's like the third time I'd ever gone to one.
Yeah,
I've never gone to the same one twice, and anytime I've gone there, it's not been by choice.
Fair enough. Yeah. I'm more of an El Salto kind of guy.
I can get there. I'm partial to Asada.
Asada's good too.
Yeah,
Asada's a great time.
Yeah, but I'm in Highland, so that's easy.
It's right there. Yeah. So when I lived down the street, I was there all the damn time.
I go to a place called the Dilla or La Dilla. I forget. I always forget how it starts. But in Cedar Lake,
okay,
you should try that.
I'm never in Cedar Lake.
Yeah, and if you get the opportunity though, you should try that.
If I'm just randomly in Cedar Lake for something. Stop in.
Great food.
Right on. I'll keep that in mind.
And they know the difference between lime and fucking grapefruit. That's my other favorite part about them.
You know what also I thought about too for our icebreaker for this episode is because of what our topic is. Did you ever have to learn another language in high school?
Japanese.
Oh, that's right. I didn't know that. You learned Japanese.
Took 4 years of it.
Did you do you keep up with it at all? Like, do you do like the Duolingo or like the Rosetta Stone?
So, no disrespect to Duolingo. I'm sure it works for some people.
Sure.
I did it for a year, just this past year, and I found myself getting really good at Duolingo tests and nothing else.
Oh, well, that's because we're American and we're trying to take tests.
Yeah, like that's what
we're not trying to learn shit. We're trying to regurgitate shit,
right? And I'm sure it works for some people,
sure,
especially if maybe I had been closer to my days in high school and used it as a method for upkeep.
Yeah.
But yeah, like if I ever want to do it again, I'm gonna have to get tutored or something, which I'm not entirely against. I really did like it.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah. I've never tried Duolingo. Actually, one of our friends and listeners, Ashley, she's been doing it for a while.
Oh, okay.
And she offered me to put her on her family plan. I just never got around to it because I learned in high school I took Spanish. Which the irony of it all is I know more Spanish now than I did back then.
Sure.
Well, also I didn't go to class, so there's that. Anyways,
that will have a negative impact.
Well, my first year Spanish teacher, and if anybody that's listening went to the same high school I did, you will be able to confirm this. My first year, so Spanish 101 or whatever the fuck it was, our teacher was deaf. Like she had hearing aids.
Okay.
Right. So, I think we all kind of bullshitted our way through that one. Yeah, literally. A lot of K and Los Cientos in that one. And then my second year Spanish, I got a hall pass every day. I didn't go to that class. They gave me a C and sent me on my way.
Oh, okay.
I'm sure there was a story of why. I don't fucking remember it, but
I'm sure.
Considering I barely graduated high school anyways, I'm sure that has something to do with it.
And I wouldn't be surprised though, if I'm being completely honest. I wouldn't be surprised if Duolingo was more, and I'm just guessing. I'm not saying one way or the other. You people do whatever you want to do.
Sure.
But I wouldn't be surprised if Spanish, German, French, all those Latin or near Latin based languages are maybe easier to learn as a native English speaker on Duolingo.
Sure. Versus
going across the Pacific, like I was trying to do, completely against the grain of what you're already used to in that app.
Yeah, I would say, well, again, like my Spanish is better now than it was back then for sure, but that's more in practice than in class.
Yeah.
But I learned German in college, and I had 4 years of that, which I did go to class every time.
Well, yeah, you're paying for that one.
You're right. Well, I mean, my parents paid for my high school too, though. Because I went to private.
I didn't even think about that.
So somebody paid for it. Probably should have told that story about my second year, though. That's probably should have picked it up to myself. She's probably retired now, anyways. Doesn't matter. Anyways, but I got pretty decent at German. Oddly enough, the German teacher in high school that we had at our high school was also the teacher in college.
Oh, there you go.
I didn't take. If I took German in high school, it would have been way better transition.
Yeah,
but she was a good teacher, though. I learned pretty well. The problem was I didn't use it, so I lost a bit of it. But I get to like a little practice here and there because Ashley speaks it. So I have a little practice with her, but I had a friend that was fluent with it, so I would speak with him often, and it kept me up on it. But I do miss speaking German, though.
I can still read a decent chunk of both alphabets.
Yeah,
because in Japanese you have three.
Yep.
You have the two primary ones, and you have kanji. And I can still read, and I shouldn't even say decent, maybe an okay amount of both alphabets, but forget translating.
Yeah.
Or anything like that. I mean, I'll tell you, the sounds it makes, but,
I can get a roundabout with German. If I'm reading it, I can get a roundabout what the hell's going on.
Right.
Hearing it, if it's slow enough, I can still get a roundabout what we're talking about here. Thankfully, they speak English over there too. So
and with Europe, it's you get enough clues.
Yeah,
to a degree, to kind of maybe get the context of.
Sorry,
it's the Germans.
they know. That was weird. This thing should have been muted.
But yeah, I feel like you get enough context clues that you can kind of oops-a-daisy your way through some, not the whole language, but some sentences.
Yes. Oopsie daisy your way through languages. That's funny. So today's topic, like we kind of alluded to, and again, the title of, we're talking about the Rosetta Stone today. Also a name of a very popular program to learn languages. Yes. I remember I had a acquired version of it back in the day.
I was very expensive if I remember correctly.
I mean, for some people, sure.
Yeah. Well,
I may or may not have acquired a copy of it.
Well, I think that's why you would have acquired it. Is if I remember right, it was kind of pricey,
at least
back in the day,
especially back in the day. I mean, we're talking about even in nowadays standards, it's still a lot. Like it's a lot of fucking money for those things, man.
I got to find out now.
Oh yeah, go for it.
I got to scratch that itch.
Sure. Yeah. So I've never. Well, I did use it back then because I again acquired it, but I wish I still had that copy of it now. It might be on one of my hard drives. Anywho, but we're talking about today about the actual Rosetta Stone, which broke the code for the language of hieroglyphics, allowing the study of Egyptology to exist.
You thieving bastards!
There it is.
Holy shit! Lifetime subscription, $400. And now regularly $400. Right now it's $199, one-time payment.
Well, I guess $200 for lifetime. I mean, how many languages is it?
25
for $200.
Yeah,
that's actually not bad.
I saw the number, and that's what caused me to freak out.
Fair enough.
So
yeah, well, $200 actually is. I feel that's reasonable.
Okay, you know what? This isn't like it was back in the day.
It used to be asinine.
Well,
back in the day.
There's probably a giant digital component to it now that's brought down cost.
Because back then they sent you a whole kit.
It was a physical media.
Yeah, they sent you a whole kit for
CD-ROMs and whatnot.
And headphones and...
Now they want to give you 12 months for $143.40.
Yeah, but I mean, if you're paying $50 more, you get a lifetime. So
yeah. No. I'm just saying, like, for an annual, well, that's Spanish. It would be hilarious if they changed it per... No, it doesn't change. Okay. That would have been hilarious. I went to Japanese. No, it's got 3 alphabets. We're going to charge you $143 a year for each alphabet, you son of a bitch.
Right,
it's one spoken language. It's one giant lizard.
He's had a few iterations. And at one point, he did have a son.
Yeah, that is true.
I'm a big Godzilla fan.
Yeah, that is true. We won't talk about 98.
We try not to.
When she had multiple.
Oh, that's true. Yeah,
offspring.
She did have.
Yeah.
Yep.
Zilla, not
Yeah.
Took the god out of Godzilla.
Yep.
Zilla.
Anywho, so the Rosetta Stone. As I was just mentioning, this was the slab of rock Stone that that allowed the relearning and start of the study of Egyptology. Because before we couldn't read it, it was a lost language.
Yeah.
When researching this, I knew why it was important. I didn't realize that nobody knew how to read this shit.
No, Rome fucked Egypt out of Egypt.
Well, I thought it was the Greeks.
No, Rome conquered Egypt, and then because the
Alexander was there first.
Well, that's true. That's true too. But when Rome came in, that was the end of the understanding of it wouldn't be late Egyptian. It would, I don't know what you would call that, because you have old, middle, late.
Oh, that's
like
the question.
Like because that's the thing, is you're talking about thousands and thousands of years that a language existed, and we're just talking about the end result. And the Romans were the ones that kind of assimilated it out of them, I guess.
Sure.
You know,
that's a way to say it.
More or less, I guess.
Sure.
Yeah,
that's a way to format it.
Well, with how much the language had evolved, and then how long the Romans would have been there, which is going to be a long time. So I mean, that's a lot. So I don't even mean it as an undercutting way as much as no, it was pretty much just assimilated out.
Oh, sure. I mean, that's what Rome did everywhere, though.
Yeah,
really.
but just like Old English for us.
Sure.
It went away.
Dude, reading Old English when I was in college made my fucking nose bleed. I'm pretty sure I lost part of my brain.
It's bad.
Yeah,
it's bad. And but once you figure out the H's and W's flip flopped at some point, then it becomes easier.
Mm-hmm. Well, once you get used to reading it for a while, it's fine.
Yeah.
But that first few pages, I'm like,
I do wish we still wrote the way we did for our founding documents. So,
yeah, I guess, man.
Yeah, sometimes there's some really elegant insults.
Oh, well, that I'll give you. I'll give you.
Yes, there's some good shit that's out
fair.
There.
That's fair. That's very fair. All right, so let's get into this.
Sure.
So the Rosetta Stone was found in 1799 by Napoleon's troops while they were repairing a fort. So Napoleon,
Bouchard, I believe.
Well, the person that found it, yeah.
Yeah, no. Yeah, Napoleon's right. I believe the gentleman's name was Bouchard.
The person who found it, yes.
Yeah, I have him further down.
Because thankfully, Bouchard realized the importance of the stone and didn't allow it to be destroyed, which is great.
Yeah.
That was really cool that somebody realized, holy shit, this is actually a very, very important piece of text. We should probably save it.
And it's documented that it was just used as a spare piece of building materials.
Yep.
Egypt's in a rough part of town.
Oh man, speaking of hieroglyphics and talking shit, I forgot which queen it was of Egypt. I remember her story, but I can't remember her name. But outside of one of her temples, the lewd artwork that they drew of her and her at the time husband, they drew essentially porn making fun of her.
Nefertiti?
It might have been. I can't remember. It's been a while since
I mean, that's the one I know outside of Cleopatra.
Yeah. I wish I remembered this story better. I should have written it down if I was going to tell it.
Yeah.
But using graffiti, pretty much graffiti, to talk shit about her and her reign, which was pretty great. So anyways, so they found the reason for the name, the Rosetta Stone, came from where it was found. So it was originally called El Rashid. We now know it as Rosetta. Excuse me. It was built into one of the walls of a temple, which comes into play later on, because this was actually a document that was sent. I'm sorry, not a document. It was a decree made by Ptolemy V that was actually sent to a lot of temples that show support for the King Ptolemy. So it wasn't an uncommon document that they found there, but what made it special was that it was in 3 different languages. It was the same note, the same message, in 3 different languages. So it was in hieroglyphics, as we mentioned before, mainly used for priestly decrees. Demotic, okay.
Demotic.
Which was a cursive Egyptian script used for daily purposes.
Everyday people also.
And it was known as the language of the people.
Yeah, the common people.
So which was cool that they at least had a way to write for everybody.
Yeah.
Which even still back then was still groundbreaking to have a common person actually know how to write. And be able to trade and be able to speak to each other via writing. The third language it was in was Greek. So as we were just talking about earlier with Alexander the Great, when he conquered Egypt, Greek was a mainstay language back then too. So it was language of the ministers, and also the rulers of Egypt were Greco-Macedonian after Alexander the Great's rule was there. So like I was saying before, this was a decree from Ptolemy V, whose reign was 204 to 181 BC, which again, being in 3 different languages made it perfect for us to then find and start to decipher. So it was put into a large stone tablet and was in every temple that supported Ptolemy in Egypt.
Yeah, and actually more specific, black granite. Because this fucker was heavy.
I was actually trying to find the weight of it. Did you have that?
It is in a video that I watched, and I did not write it down. I want to say it is like 1,000 pounds or something like that.
Well, yeah. I mean, Egypt had England had to still it with help.
Yeah,
they needed manpower.
Well, had the French dig it out for them first, and then they took it when they lost, or when the French lost. I want to say it's like around 1,000 pounds or something.
It is 1,680 pounds.
Yeah, because the French dragged it. They couldn't get it anywhere. So okay, rewinding. Bouchard finds it, and I already skipped over it. Keep up with you, but Bouchard finds it. He sends off, because while this is a military expedition, and I'm going off memory here, so I reserve the right to be a little wrong. I want to say they had 150. They called savants, but they're scholars that went along with this military expedition. And with the strict orders to, if you find anything from wildlife to artifacts, you notify your higher ups or whatever. You know. That's what they did. So, but Napoleon got wind of it also. And I guess the way the story is told is he comes over, looks at it, and leaves. And whether just completely unimpressed or just bigger fish to fry, who knows? And then, but he even though he wasn't, I guess, impressed by it, they weren't leaving it behind. So they dragged this thing to battlefield after battlefield, just lugging this thing around, which is hilarious to me.
Yep.
Because and at this point, France had been in Egypt for a year. And they were trying to maintain control from the Ottomans and the British. During this time.
So if my memory serves for this, the goal of this expedition was to cut off the route that England was using to get to India.
I believe you're correct.
Or to disrupt the route.
Yeah, I believe you're correct, because this is going to be around the time the Suez Canal is being formed.
Yeah.
I think. I'm just going off of memory there.
Yeah, so the Suez Canal was opened in 1869. So this is 1799. So I mean, it took a while to build.
Well, it
took 10 years to build.
Yeah,
so it started in 1859.
Oh, okay.
So still, that's pretty close. I mean, it's 60 years.
Yeah, I mean, they're probably in the preliminary stage of just finding out that they can do it then.
Right, like, hey, wait a minute.
It's in that neighborhood.
Yeah.
This is just sand. We're better than sand. We have tea.
We have tea and all the spices in the world that we refuse to use on our food.
They're not real people. So, and then how they got... okay, I'm caught up. So yeah, Bouchard sent the message about his discovery. The stone was cleaned and studied. Initially, it was thought to contain Syriac, but the third language was later identified as Demotic. Demotic. I always heard Demotic. Sure. But anyway, the scholars used it. So they couldn't move it. Well, they moved it, but they couldn't move it quickly and get it out of the country quickly. So they just dragged it around, which again, I cannot stress how funny I think that is, because you know that some poor bastard that dropped his captain's croissant was the one stuck lugging this thing around, him and his horse. So they went, hey, you know what we could do? There's this guy called Gutenberg that made a printing press. So we're going to slap some ink on this thing, throw it on some paper, and lift the stone back up. And that's what they did. They made possibly the world's heaviest printing press. Maybe. I don't know. I
would argue that it could be.
I didn't look into the average weight of a printing press in the 1700s and 1800s.
I can almost guarantee it wasn't 2,000 pounds.
I would like to think not. I would like to think not.
Seems mournfully inefficient.
Yeah. And so
inefficient.
So they slapped a bunch of ink on it, threw it down, and then they started shipping those copies back to France, all around I guess all around Europe. And then in true fashion, 1801, the French army surrendered.
Ah, yes, what they do the best.
We'll pause for your surprise. That's long enough.
Indeed.
They surrendered to the British and the Ottomans.
Now, if my memory serves, because we did briefly talk about this before. Didn't we talk about this during the French Revolution episode we did? Because we talked about Napoleon a bit. Did we talk about like the Sphinx not having its nose blown off by the cannon? Maybe we might have mentioned it.
Yeah, because that's bullshit.
Because it was bullshit, right? Yeah, it was.
I think the head doesn't even belong on its body, or anyway.
Right is right. Because I think didn't we do a Napoleon episode? I feel like we did.
French Revolution and Napoleon.
Yeah. Because
I see where you're going.
Because this is the part where we talk about Napoleon running the fuck away from Egypt. Like he leaves his troops behind. It's like, oh, this seems like it's going not going well. I should go back to France.
He was a great leader, just a bad loser.
Oh, horrible loser. And it's funny because he caught like 2 L's at the same time because he came back to France to find out his wife was cheating on him.
Yeah.
That was fun.
That sandy, salty bitch. I've been in the desert for this. Yeah, and you reminded me. I did completely forget. I was going to bring up that episode.
Yeah.
Because in addition to the research for this, I found out because when we talked about Napoleon, you said that Napoleon was 5'7".
Yep.
Right? Average height for the day. And I said in my research, I found he was 5'2", average height for the day. And we're both right.
That doesn't make any sense.
Correct. Because the French aren't real. I found out during this research.
Yeah.
It related more to hieroglyphics than the actual Rosetta Stone after the Rosetta Stone. But French inches were bigger than British inches.
I feel like that's just a pissing contest at that point. I feel like they did that shit on purpose. They had to have.
Yeah, literally their inches. I found from this video I was watching. I would have to watch a few more things to substantiate this, but it makes sense for our what would you call it? Not disagreement, but our different results.
Yeah.
In our research.
Yeah.
And saying one is average and the other was average too, but because I always knew that he wasn't actually short. You knew he was always not actually short.
Right.
But we came up with different numbers.
As to how not actually short he was.
Right. So in France, he was 5'2". In a French 7-Eleven, he just held up. He's 5'2". And the British 7-Eleven that he just held up, he's 5'7".
That's fucking ridiculous.
Yeah, because that's what I found out. So that was interesting.
That's just
and
ridiculous.
then I had my Captain Holt moment of vindication.
Indeed.
God bless
indeed.
that,
Man, RIP to a real one. So with in the case of we did record this episode a while ago. So go back and listen to the Napoleon French Revolution one. We do very briefly talk about him being in Egypt. I'm pretty sure we like glanced over it real quick. Like he's in Egypt, then he ran away.
Yeah, I think so because it's not really.
There's not much to say about it.
There's not. It's not. I don't want to say it's not interesting. It's just not a watershed moment.
No,
not like Waterloo or any of the others or Russia.
Right, or all the other times he lost.
Yeah, the other extreme weather.
Yeah. Oh man.
Yeah. So 1801, the French
do what the French do.
They pull out their move. All reliable. And they surrender to the British, and the British acquire the Rosetta Stone as spoils of war.
As they do.
And property of that old bastard King George III, who you might know from the War of Independence.
Yeah, he was
an
idiot.
Yeah. So, and they actually wrote on the side of this thing. Did you find this?
No.
Oh, you really?
I must have missed this one.
Oh, so yeah, somebody in the British Army wrote on the side of the Rosetta Stone, captured, like painted, captured in Egypt by the British Army, 1801. And then somebody else, when it was donated to the British Museum in 1802, it was donated by King George III, but whoever wrote it, I don't know, but who added presented by King George III on the other side.
What a dick.
That was the most British thing I've read this week.
It is
and it's Sunday.
So childish because it's like, oh, this is mine. I put my name on it.
Yeah.
I licked it. You can't have it.
It's the most British thing I've heard all week, and it's Sunday.
Well, the most British thing I'm thinking of right now is the fact that they refuse to give it back.
Yeah,
because Egypt asked for this thing back,
and I actually didn't even look at. I wanted to. Is it still there, or is it in Egypt?
No, it's still in British.
Okay,
it's still in the British Museum.
Because that's what I would have put my money on, but I just didn't even look into it.
Yeah,
it was busy enough with the rest of it, and I'm not surprised at all. But yeah, so I'm assuming you're looking it up.
Yeah, just double checking my work here.
So after that, European scholars had struggled to decode hieroglyphics for centuries, believing the symbols were purely ideographic, which is basically representing concepts.
Yeah.
In 1814, English polymath Thomas Young made significant progress by translating the demotic section of the stone. He also identified the name Ptolemy, yeah. Ptolemy, in hieroglyphs, assuming that it was written phonetically. However, Young believed that oh my God, this fucking language. Hieroglyphs were logographic, each symbol representing a word, and thus focused only on the Greek names. And I believe, he was likening it to, Chinese or Japanese.
Sure.
I'm saying what I think he was thinking. I'm not saying that's written down somewhere.
Okay.
But yeah, so, and again, not the alphabets I was talking about earlier. I'm talking strictly kanji.
Yeah.
Where where I think he was going down that road.
Yeah. And I can see that.
Yeah.
But by the way, just to put, to cap off the Rosetta Stone thing, for England. Yeah, it is still, I love how Google does their AI now. So it's
it's so helpful at times.
It is at times. The first thing, no, England has not given back the Rosetta Stone to Egypt.
Did it put it in italics? Is it mad right now?
No, it just said no, comma. Very matter of fact. Very matter of fact with that. So, and then it has the debate here too. So from the English, the Egyptian perspective, so the British possession of the symbol, the stone is a symbol of Western cultural violence against Egypt. They argue that the Egyptians had no say in the 1801 agreement. The British, being the British, say that the 1801 treaty includes signatures of the Egyptian representatives, and they say Egyptian government has not submitted a request for the stone's return, which is so British.
So there's one way I'll side with the Brits on this one. I don't have a dog in this fight, so I don't care what happens necessarily. Sure. But there's one way where I'll back the Brits, and that's if that museum director has the balls to go to Egypt and tell them, hey, you fuckers were using it as siding. All right, now it's in a museum. If he gets the balls to say something like that, I'm on his side.
Yeah, it's one of those things where because I will the movie Black Panther is amazing for many reasons, but you've seen the Black Panther the first one.
Once originally, but
sure.
Yeah,
but yeah, the whole Killmonger thing where he goes into the museum and just talks about how much shit's stolen. Look at that.
Yeah, I love how it's a cultural meme that kind of came out of nowhere.
Yeah,
everybody just kind of one day realized the British Museum had a lot of stuff.
Yeah. And none of it's British.
And then we just never stopped talking about it.
The British Museum is full of a lot of people's stuff.
Yeah.
Not a lot of it's British.
It's a loot crate.
There's a lot of net boo boo.
Yeah.
Look what I have.
Guarded by the Ministry of Funny Hats. Literally.
Yeah, because I know, like, so what happened? A lot of they say that the government didn't request it. I'm wondering if the Grand Egyptian Museum is the one who might have been requesting it now, because they just opened in 2023, and a lot of the stuff they're pulling in there are coming from archives and other places that just have their stuff. So Egypt's making a big push to get a lot of their stuff back, and I feel like the British have a lot of it. Like, hey, can we get our shit back, dude?
Yeah, like it's messy.
Well, especially like if you look at the history between Britain and Egypt as well, and how much shit Britain just took. Like you've heard of the when they did like the mummy unwrapping parties and shit. Where they would take a mummy from Egypt and have a party about unwrapping the motherfucker.
That's how you know you got money.
Like,
I will say that.
It's so wild to me.
That's a guy that doesn't worry about the cable bill.
No. The funny part is before it was cable. Yeah, like their entertainment was unwrapping a mummy. Exactly. The Grand Egyptian Museum, like I said before, they're taking a lot. They're trying to get a lot of their stuff back. It actually officially opened last October. Finally.
How much you want to bet one of these rolling 20s assholes had a mummy by their toilet?
They just used the paper. Yep. That's a very Futurama thing to do.
That's why I was chuckling over here about myself. Like, I know somebody did it. Or thought of it.
Somebody probably did it. Somebody probably did it. I can definitely see that.
I can't remember the last time I saw a mummy either. It would have been in school a long time ago.
It would have been like a field trip somewhere a long time ago.
I need to fix
I don't know if Chicago had one. Maybe they may have like maybe a traveling display. Maybe
Science and Industry. I feel like would be the one, if not Field.
Maybe Field, because I was at Science and Industry recent enough, and I don't remember seeing anything for Egypt there.
Which one had the? I mean, this is like 20 years ago now, 15, 20. But which one had like the sliced human bodies? Do you remember that?
Oh, I remember that from my childhood.
I never saw it, but I remember hearing about the exhibit.
Yeah.
And where, it was just slices of a person in different layers.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't remember.
I don't, I feel like
it might be the Field.
I feel like it might have been Field.
I feel like it might have been Field as well. If you're a listener, comment on the this post and let us know. Because we need to figure this out.
Yeah. Once we get famous, we need to have like a field trip.
That'd be fun.
Yeah. Get some contest winners and whatnot.
Excuse me. Yeah. Go to the museum with us and be bored by us explaining what everything is.
Or yelling. Just rent the place out.
Well, I'm not going to get kicked out. Okay. If we rent a place out, that's different.
We'll go to, we'll go to a museum in Cleveland.
Where just nobody cares.
Yeah. Or they do care and we don't care that we get kicked out.
That's fair.
You know,
if the city of Cleveland listens to the episode about us talking nothing but shit about Cleveland, that'd be great. If you're wondering what I'm referring to, very early on in the podcast, there was an episode where we just have the whole episode about just talking shit about Cleveland. It was great.
I only think of Drew Carey when I think of Cleveland, nothing else.
Well, my family's from there, so I have a lot of skin in the game.
Oh, okay.
For that. It sucks.
Yeah, but it's all I think of is the Drew Carey show.
I think about a lot of things.
Yeah.
I'm a big sports fan. And
right.
Watching the years of film. My dad's a Browns fan, and that man's patience for his team is...
Life hasn't gone well, is what you're telling me.
I mean, look at his two sons. Anyways.
That was deep.
I could go worse.
I thought I was mean to myself.
No. Years of therapy. Anywho.
Shall we talk about the following Frenchman now?
Yeah. We're talking about Jean-Francois
Champollion.
Champollion. Yeah, that dude. Let's get in there.
So anyway, JFC. French linguist, fluent in Coptic. Which actually I didn't look up to see what that meant. To be honest, but and it relates to Egypt somehow, but it's not one of those three languages.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Began corresponding with Thomas Young, the guy we mentioned earlier before that happened.
Yeah, the physicist, right?
Mm-hmm. He believed that hieroglyphs were phonetic, not logographic. And Champollion's Champ's knowledge of Coptic, a descendant of ancient Egyptian, was key to deciphering the phonetic nature of hieroglyphs. As more hieroglyphic inscriptions and artifacts were discovered in Egypt each year, scholars continued to build on the work started with the Rosetta Stone. This one's fun. Do you have anything on William John Banks?
I do not actually.
This is fun.
Okay.
In 1850, Englishman William John Banks toured Egypt and found a 22-foot tall, 6-ton obelisk with hieroglyphic and Greek inscriptions. Banks hoped it could serve as a second Rosetta Stone.
Sure.
Banks is rich. Obviously, he went to Egypt for fun.
Don't tell me.
It's not a bad story. It's just like, of course, like it's a money story.
Okay.
And I never found anything that he was like a bad guy or anything. It was one of those things of it's the times.
Sure.
But so he arranged to have it transported back to his estate.
That's what I was thinking about.
in Dorset. And the way he did it though was he hired an Italian circus strongman to coordinate the move. So rich Englishman contracts circus people to go to Egypt to move a 6-ton, 22-foot object and bring it back to ye old England. This is why we won.
Just because, dude,
that's how you know you got money.
Well, dude, because there's so many better ways to do this.
So many. So many.
They have bridges. They have massive construction projects that have happened in England before this. Massive construction projects have taken place.
He brought in
before this.
He brought in a circus member from a circus of a country. Idly. I said that intentionally. To coordinate the transportation of this thing.
There's so
I wish it was the internet age so we could see how it went down.
With circus music playing in the background.
Yeah.
Like circus music playing the entire time.
So fucking lootly. You know, hands down that some little person got crushed when the guy put his shoulder in it to knock it down onto the truck. Like, I'll get it. The Wizard of Oz was supposed to have one more little person. It was that guy.
Jeez.
So, but that obelisk, did you know about the obelisk at all?
No.
That's the missing piece.
Okay.
With this guy. So, Champ.
Mm-hmm.
It makes me happy. Continuing his work on hieroglyphics, used his knowledge of Demotic and Coptic. I really wish I looked that up. I was more focused on the other three. But Demotic and Coptic to reconstruct theoretical cartouches, which is basically a...
All right, I got the answer for that, by the way. Yeah, so
go ahead and then I'll get into what a cartouche is.
Cool. So Coptic Egyptian refers to the language of cultures of the Copts, the largest Christian community in the Arab world. So
so it's an offshoot?
Yep, apparently it is. Okay. Coptic is an Afro-Asiatic language that is spoken in Egypt from the 2nd century CE until it's replaced by Arabic.
Oh, okay. That makes a lot of sense because there's a lot of Arabic offshoots.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay. So it's just a spider web shooting out from Cairo, essentially.
Pretty much. That
makes sense.
Yeah, that fills in the blank, actually.
That 100% makes
pretty much.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Right on.
So, yeah, that one takes you back to the original 3.
Yeah.
If you follow that vein.
Mm-hmm.
That makes sense.
That makes a lot of sense. It's still used today, apparently.
Solving mysteries.
Yeah, apparently it's still actually used.
Really? In what nation?
Coptic Orthodox and Coptic Catholic churches for liturgical purposes. But
is it Ethiopia or something? I feel like there was a language thing in Ethiopia or Kenya that had to do with Egypt. I can't remember.
It might have, and this is just a very large guess. I don't think it was Ethiopia because Ethiopia, didn't they resist Christianity at one point?
At one point. But yeah, I don't know.
Well then,
I don't know. But it might have even been further back than that.
it might have been.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah, there's a whole thing about. I've never heard. This is news to me. So
I had never heard of the language
sitting here-
until this.
there is a lot.
Yeah, I had never heard of Demotic, Coptic, or any of it.
Yeah,
other
there
than
is-
hieroglyphics and Greek until doing this reading.
Yeah, there's as of 2019, they are approximately 10% of Egypt's population.
Oh wow,
They're estimated to be 9.5 million people.
that's a lot. And what percentage?
10.
Oh. 10? Wow, wait.
Wait a minute.
That's a sizable chunk of the.
That's yeah.
If 10 million is 10%,
Yeah.
that is a sizable chunk of the population.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. There's a lot going on here.
There is. It's time for a war.
I'm not going that far because there is because I'm reading about the persecution of these peoples too. So
Oh, if they're a percentage,
if they're an offshoot,
then they've gone through some shit, without a doubt.
Definitely.
Especially in North Africa.
Definitely. Yeah.
But so anyway, okay, no, that's awesome. That makes perfect sense. That makes perfect sense why Champ was so important going back. And yeah, so cartouches, which 100% sounds like a slur or a play on charcuterie board. Nothing in between. And you filthy cartouche, like I can see it. Yeah, so cartouches of Egyptian royal names. So basically a cartouche was basically like a nameplate, more or less. It wasn't additional to the hieroglyph. It was just the symbol and everything, and then there would be a border around it. So not like a plate attached.
Oh yes.
It just kind of gives the impression of a plate.
Sure.
And so so use this knowledge of Demotic and Coptic to reconstruct theoretical cartouches of Egyptian royal names, now knowing what the word means. His goal was to use these cartouches to gradually unlock more hieroglyphic characters. Hieroglyphic characters. My God, this thing is a DUI check. During this time, Champ was embroiled in political rivalries and exiled multiple times due to his support of Napoleon. the whole thing is it's just a fantastic story. It really is. It's just over here studying hieroglyphs and hey, you got to go.
Yeah.
Your guy's on Elba. You're out of here. Pack your bags, pack your stale bread. See you in a couple of years. Here's
cigarettes and stale bread. Get the fuck out of here.
And our cheapest wine and a mouse. When Banks sent Champ a print of the obelisk's inscriptions, Champ was struck by the appearance of his own reconstruction of Cleopatra's name on the stone. So he made it over here as he would think it would appear. And then, bam! It shows up in real life. And everything, meaning like I'm on to something. I'm right. So this prompted a surge of work, leading to a significant realization. Egyptian hieroglyphics combined both ideographic, representing ideas, and phonetic, representing sounds, characters. So ideographic and phonetic characters. In 1822. Champ made a groundbreaking discovery by reading the name Thermos from an inscription. I believe it was in one of those. I just said the fucking name and made the joke. Where'd they go? Cartouche. That's just one of those words we're never going to use again.
Nope.
Let's see here. Yeah, from the inscription, comparing it with the Rosetta Stone, Champ rushed to his brother's house, famously shouting, "I've got it," and as a true Frenchman, fainted. Fainted in excitement. I thought he was going to die when I was originally reading the story. Like it was like just done for Champ. So basically that obelisk. So the Rosetta Stone, infinitely important. Obviously, I guess we probably would have gotten there eventually.
Yeah.
And everything, but this obelisk was the missing piece where it's Young is right. But just like with Napoleon's height, we just went through it actually.
Yep.
So with fucking French. Champ is right, Young is right. They're just not 100% right all the time. It's something in between. Phonics and symbols or ideas. That's what I have on 1822 when it's all said and done.
Sure.
And then I have the follow up with these guys and how it went for them.
Sure. Yeah, you're good. So because it was between 1822 and 24 where this whole part of the story is taking place. Which, as I've mentioned briefly at the beginning of this episode, our buddy Champ is heralded as the person who founded Egyptology. So because of his knowledge of the Coptic language, of him breaking this code for of the Rosetta Stone, he's the one who's at least given credit for starting this whole study, which is kind of cool. After getting kicked out of his country a few times,
multiple times.
I
wish I could have found dates because I really want to know like when, how many times, and for how long.
Jeez.
But the fact that you said exiled times plural.
Right.
Like, I just imagine he just got settled in. And like, all right, ready to get back to work. Everything's says, and then just, oi! Well, no, that's British.
Right.
I don't know what the French oi is, but insert it here. And you got to go.
I feel like it's just like a look of disgust and a long drag of a cigarette.
Yeah,
a long dramatic drag of a cigarette.
You must leave. We are calling the mimes.
Jeez. It's fucking terrifying.
What if that's what the exile mean? He didn't go into a fucking didn't go to an island, he just put him in an invisible box. The French are a silly people. They would do it. And don't get me started on French light Canadians.
Yeah. Well, only one part of Canada, which is Montreal, but
yeah,
the rest of Canada is not. It's aight. But Montreal is.
It shouldn't have real in its name. I said it. 51st state.
So yeah, you were about to say about the rest of these people that were involved.
Oh yeah, I didn't know what you had.
Oh no, you're good. Yeah.
Yeah. So for the rest of their lives, they had a rivalry. Did you read anything about that?
A bit, yeah.
Yeah. So Thomas Young, and Champ. They had. I feel like I'm giving the other guy like unfair press because I'm saying his whole name, but
yeah. Well, I mean, his name makes sense to say.
He's got a real name,
right? Like his name's simple to say, not Jean-Francois Champion.
Anyway, they had a lifelong feud over the credit for deciphering hieroglyphics, and Young argued that Champ did not properly acknowledge his contributions, while Champ claimed Young had only identified similar characters without fully interpreting them, which I feel is like the intellectual equivalent to a redneck telling another redneck that you can't read.
I mean, that's about it. Yeah.
It's to me, it's funny. Yeah. So their rivalry was, as I'm making fun of these two fucking assholes, but their rivalry was fueled by the political climate of the post-Napoleonic Europe, where national loyalties influenced scholarly support. What that means is, your research was funded by who you backed. So Captain Exile wasn't always looked upon favorably, especially after Napoleon's after Napoleon's final departure.
Yeah, like this last one. Yeah.
He got a sequel. Napoleon got a sequel.
Napoleon 2 Electric Boogaloo.
The ulcers will be stronger. That's the theory. If you don't, or you guys don't know, as to why his hand was in his jacket all the time as he was compressing his ulcers.
Yep.
I don't think there's any backing for it though.
No.
Yeah,
there's always been so many different stories about like why it was like that.
Yeah,
like people just said it was a pose.
I think he was just Francis Al Bundy, and that's what he did.
Fair enough.
If I had to guess, just Peg. Yeah, these Russians, these Cossacks. So he walks the fattest Russian I've ever seen.
Trying to sell him some shoes.
I feel like we have an internet bit there that we can explore.
We'll work on that.
Honestly.
We'll work on that.
Yeah, so like you said, Champ didn't have all the backing that he could have due to his Napoleonic support and whatnot, but I don't know, it was kind of a from what I saw, it wasn't like they completely negated him or anything like that, because he was still the guy with the secret sauce, so to speak. So
sure,
you're not going anywhere without this. And then, but also England was in control of Egypt, so kind of doesn't, like you have ears, they're just across the channels,
right?
And so it really kind of didn't matter to a degree, at least from what I'm seeing.
Sure.
And let's see here. Despite some criticisms, Champ's decipherment system, which recognized both phonetic and ideographic elements of hieroglyphics, was proven correct, because a lot of people still said it wasn't. And let's see here. In 1829, Champ achieved his lifelong dream of traveling to Egypt. So that's important. He never once, he made his breakthrough and everything else.
Right.
He had never been to Egypt. He never laid eyes on the actual Rosetta Stone. It was all from the prince. And in 1829, he travels to Egypt using his developing dictionary and grammar system, which he had to be the most annoying person to be around at that time. Like, it was don't get me wrong, it's amazing. It's awesome.
100%.
But I guarantee you, if you went there, if somehow Egypt had a friggin' tourism industry at the time, I kind of doubt it.
No, it's just a bunch of people that still in their shit and leaving.
Ottomans and such.
Yep.
Not the foot thing, but I just, I imagine there's a lot of people just, like, oh, look at these are some triangles here. And you know what this wants to say? Shut the fuck up. But so yeah, he using his developing dictionary and grammar system, he read inscriptions on temple walls, and he was the first person to say the names of kings that hadn't been said in over a millennia.
That is impressive.
That is pretty amazing. I'm actually surprised we don't know his name more readily.
Sure.
I'm surprised his name isn't up there with the Rosetta Stone.
Sure.
Let's put it that way. Just, the Rosetta Stone itself.
Mm-hmm.
He also deciphered papyrus scrolls in Upper Egypt. This entire episode's been a freaking tongue twister. Papyrus scrolls revealing the words of everyday people, which is pretty fascinating. So this is how we learned, boys and girls, get close. This is how we learned aliens didn't build the fucking pyramids. Because we found labor manifests and decoded them, and triangles are basic fucking geometry. Anyway.
Yeah, you'll have that. It reminds me of the joke is like the ancient aliens dude. It's like, well, white people didn't build this. It had to be aliens.
Yeah. Well, there's that one comedian too. There's that one comedian who
is that where I heard it from?
Where maybe where he's like, we don't question who built the ones in Mexico.
That is a different comedian I'm thinking of, but I know that joke too. That's
and
a good one.
It is so oh my god, it's so annoying, annoying, and it's also like, because that's the other thing that you found with a lot of stuff from the past when you look into Egypt is there was I didn't write any of it down because it's not super important, but there is so much putting down the past to make the present look so much smarter and everything, and where they wanted the past to look so primitive. as a way of propelling, modern day advances, like they're not already amazing on their own.
Yep.
And we're talking through the lens of like the 1800s, obviously.
Well, a lot of that comes from and what you just mentioned. There's a name for it. I can't remember what it is. But even with like some film, like some things that were filmed throughout history, and how they show like these pictures in black and white versus color when they were definitely taken in color. For example, Martin Luther King Jr. is one of them that comes to mind. Where a lot of that was shot, like you see like footage of the police dog attacks and all that stuff. You see a lot of that in black and white when it was actually shot in color. But they do that to make you think this happened forever ago instead of more recently than it actually did. So it's a trick of the mind. It makes you think like, oh, that was so long ago, it's forever ago. It wasn't. Or like what you're talking about, like, oh, well, these people weren't that smart. Look at us, we're smarter than they are.
Right.
But wait a minute.
Yeah, and as they want to, they want to take away from that and everything, and it was this, it was that, it was aliens, it was blah 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 blah, or whatever.
Yeah, you're taking away from the brilliance of actual how smart people were then. We were just stupid for a long ass time in the middle of that.
Right. Like, no, people made this. Like, there's no reason to not give ourselves credit. Like, we made these things.
Exactly.
So stop. You sound stupid.
Exactly. And there's a lot of that was a middle point where everybody was just stupid. Like we were like really, really advanced, and then a lot of stupid happened.
Well, so many diseases and everything else.
Well, yeah, between war and disease,
and
then censorship and everything else.
That too. But wipe out a third of a continent's population with a disease, you're gonna have some setbacks.
Well, I was referring. Well, that's also very true. I was referring also to like the burning of the Library of Alexandria.
That too
is one of the biggest crimes in all of history. Still makes me mad just thinking about it.
The fact that Doc Brown didn't put that in the fucking DeLorean, when he was showing the time codes, and everything, and also still bothers me. He puts in 0000. There was no year zero.
You dick.
And also, what would have happened?
Again, I feel like it's a Futurama episode.
Is that how the multiverse happens? Like 000 in the time code?
Yeah,
and everything just bam.
Fuck. Again, I feel like that's a Futurama episode.
A little bit. I feel like that's a 2D episode. But in summary,
yes.
If you subscribe to Ancient Aliens, you were on the same echelon as the Flat Earthers to me.
I agree with that. Yeah, we don't like your kind around here.
And I have no problem saying it.
Oh no, I'm good with it.
Yeah,
I'm definitely good with that one.
Yeah, like people did it. Triangles are basic geometry. There's nothing, and like, there wasn't MTV around. I wonder why they were able to point these towards the stars so easily.
Yeah,
it was the absence of MTV.
It was lapse of the light pollution, but yes, that's
that too. But they weren't sitting around rotting their friggin' brain all day. Like, what else could I do today? I've taken care of the crops. I've cleaned out my chamber pot. More of a medieval England thing, but I'm on a roll, so we're going to go with it.
Well, I cleaned out my chamber pot, a.k.a. my wife.
What else can I do? Oh, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to get good at math.
Good times. Good times. But I was also thinking about this, too, because we're talking about, like, obviously, the Rosetta Stone being still in England. They did move it once out of the museum.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they moved it once during World War
II? Okay. I was going to say World War II.
2 would have made sense as well, but it was 1. The first above average war.
Again, some poor bastard is just sitting in the London Underground.
Yes,
holding onto this rock. I gotta move this fucking thing back. And it's an intern. It's a fucking intern.
Just mad as hell at the Germans.
The fucking Kaiser. He's the one that wrote King George on it. Just watch.
Obviously. But yeah, they moved it to the underground. They moved it to the London Underground. Like, so
why during World War I though?
That's what I was like. Well, the bombings during World War I. I'm like, okay, wouldn't that have been 2?
Well, there were Zeppelin bombings.
There were,
yeah. Mm-hmm. So there were Zeppelin bombings. I guess I just didn't think that they were that substantial. Those things couldn't really carry that much of a payload. But I mean, bombs is more bombs than you want dropping on your city.
Yeah, ain't it?
So,
actually, so I just looked it up. They did it during World War I and II, apparently.
The Zeppelins,
the original.
They moved it both times.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I read during World War I, I'm like, okay, that's interesting. But I had the same question, like, why during 1, not 2?
Yeah. I mean, you're talking V2 rockets.
Yeah,
Everything else. Far more substantial.
Just to look up both, it was during both. Okay. So, yeah, they used the railway again for both.
Oh, okay.
Imagine being the same fucking intern.
This is the last time I'm summer help. I want you to know that.
It was like the original one is like his son. It's like, all right, son, I'm gonna tell you how we did this back in my day. Lift your legs.
Live with your legs. I got to do it with my fucking legs. After this, Clarice can collate her own fucking papers. I can't feel my thumbs.
Yeah, that was so they did move the L, the underground.
Yeah,
which is not the L. I'm thinking about
the opposite of the L. I knew it. The very opposite of the. We're gonna put it higher. They'll never expect it.
Well, I don't know why. I think train the L because Chicago,
100%.
But yeah, the underground, fucking underground.
It would have been fucking hilarious. They'll never find us. Ding ding. There's an Indiana Jones in the multiverse somewhere. There's an Indiana Jones film where the Rosetta Stone gets dropped on Nazis. Like he's hiding, he's Anne Franking it. And then it uncovers another artifact in the underground somehow. Naturally.
You've seen Indiana Jones movies.
Correct. I guarantee there's an Indiana Jones movie out there in the multiverse like that.
Indeed. Well, let's wrap this one up then. So yeah, I think it's pretty obviously pretty interesting where we finally figured out a lost language in the stone that did it, which is pretty cool.
Well, if you're even mildly interested in Egypt, I think it's important, and I don't think it's pointed out enough. Like you have a history, right? There, to my knowledge, there's no Greekology. There's no Romeology.
Oh, I was just
but there is an Egyptology. That's huge,
and it's wild.
I could be wrong, but you get the point. You get the point I'm making.
Well, I mean, there are Roman historians and Greek historians, of course, but
100%
to the extent that Egypt is still being studied,
to the extent that there is a department devoted to where it has its own word.
And the fact that people are still to this day studying Egypt, I mean, because there's still so much to learn. Like, there's still so much we don't know.
Only a percentage has been excavated.
It's wild.
Yeah.
Just how much. I mean, it's cool because you have a civilization that wrote everything down. Mm-hmm. So, it's easy, like you said, even with the pyramids, it was easy to track. Okay, here's a labor force. Here's who's doing blah, 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 blah. Here's where they source materials, da, da, da. So, it was easy to track back what they were up to. And we still don't know it all.
Right.
So much.
Yeah, we still don't know the why on a lot of things.
True.
Other than just, we're going to point them at the stars and get out of here with the gravitational shit.
Yeah, it's, I follow,
magnetic, that's what it was.
Mispronounce his name horribly because I can't remember how it's pronounced, but, Dr. Zwahi, Hawass? Hawass?
I don't know that I'm familiar,
but he's an Egyptologist, archaeologist, and was the Egypt Minister of Antiquities. I actually follow him on Instagram.
Oh, okay.
He's getting a little bit older, but he did a lot of really cool excavations. He has a bunch of documentaries online. So, I think a lot of his were on National Geographic. I feel like is the answer to it, but yeah, he has so much stuff he's been a part of.
Maybe I just don't know his name.
I definitely butchered it. My bad.
Yeah. Well, no, I mean it's just because Egypt isn't something I really keep my finger on the pulse of, and if I see something and it catches my eye, I'll watch it and I'll learn a little bit more or whatever. But I don't go super far back. Greece and Rome is kind of my extent.
Sure.
Usually until something like, that's neat. Like, okay, I'm going to learn about this statue.
Yeah.
Or something specific. But there's so much to Egypt. So it's like, it's honestly daunting and intimidating to even think about.
A lot. Yeah, I get that.
So
I follow him, and then I follow Kathleen Teresa Martinez Berry. She has a long name. Anyways.
That sounds familiar.
So she's the woman who's currently trying to find the tomb of Cleopatra.
Oh, okay.
And she made some pretty good breakthroughs. I know there's another tunnel. It's partially underwater, which is part of the problem. But
I didn't know that we didn't know where she was buried.
Nope.
Really?
Yeah, because the problem is that's a whole nother episode.
Okay.
Whole nother episode.
Cleopatra, forget about it.
But because of it was her and Mark Anthony? Mark Anthony. Yeah. So when she...
Not the actor.
Right. So when she died, because of the circumstances of her death, either her burial was hidden or the rulers of Rome destroyed her body somewhere else. There was never an official burial for her. So
is there a chance it took place in Greece though?
It might, maybe.
Okay.
But that would have involved her escaping Egypt to get to Greece.
Well, right.
So they're thinking, I think she was looking in Alexandria. Is where she was last looking, I believe. But she's on to it, though. So I think she's going to be the first one to find it. I believe firmly she's going to do it. But yeah, she was a lawyer. She was a Dominican lawyer, but loved archaeology. So she just left her job, became an archaeologist.
Man, right on.
I mean,
it ain't over. It ain't too late till you're dead.
True. Yep. True.
Whatever, whenever you want to do.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's she's super interesting. I recommend looking into her. Like she's onto it, man. I feel like again, she's because she was the one who found I'm gonna fucking get that so wrong. Anyway, she found a temple complex outside of Alexandria, 25 miles outside of Alexandria, and it was a 4,281 foot long tunnel beneath a temple that was never found before.
That's almost a mile?
Yeah.
Wow.
And they're still excavating it. So last I heard, they're still looking down there.
I see, and I had no idea that we didn't know where Cleopatra was.
Yep.
Or at least where she died, or you know.
Sure. Yeah, because even that's still kind of
yeah, but again, like this isn't something I normally dive into.
It's interesting stuff, man.
It is. I recommend it. But I get bits and pieces, and then I move on, and then I come back, and because it's a big one.
It is.
Yeah.
There's so much.
Egypt's huge. I mean, it's what we're talking, beginning to end. I mean, like 10,000 years,
something like that.
I mean, that's insane.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely insane.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's I again recommend looking into her and then the other doctor that I mentioned, and they're both very, very interesting people. A lot of the Egypt stuff I learned is just from that National Geographics.
Yeah,
because it's Presidency Plus. So I watched Star Wars and Egypt stuff.
Yeah,
it's great. It's a balance. It's about balance.
I love that it's on Disney Plus. I do.
Yeah, they give me what I need.
Yeah, well, when I got Disney Plus, that was just kind of a happy oh hell yeah. And then I haven't gone on there recently, but the Smithsonian channel was on Paramount. It might still be.
I didn't know that.
If
I have Paramount,
let me.
I have Paramount. That's something.
Yeah, I'm gonna check.
I was just watching the football game on Paramount. Actually, I just never looked at anything. I don't really watch too much on there other than football, really.
Yeah, I'm never and this is why I don't like fucking Paramount, because it always fucking signs me out.
Dude, I had to sign in today. You should have seen me earlier. I was up in arms.
Dude, I've never been happy with their app. Whether it's on this or my TV or the the PlayStation, any of it. Like I'm never happy. Oh, if I could spell Smith. There we go. Talk amongst yourselves.
It's just us. Oh, man. Yeah, I think that it was looking at the last report on here. It looks like in 2023, they did find the tomb, but they haven't found the body yet.
Why the fuck would it want to know or need to know my location to access my list on Paramount Plus?
That's stupid.
What is this?
That's a bit much there.
That's ridiculous. Ooh, the Zodiac.
Oh my God. But yeah. So anyways,
I'm gonna find out who has it. One of the people I subscribe to had it.
Sure.
And I'll let you know, or it's gone and it's its own thing now. But
who knows? Nowadays, everything's a fucking app. Anyways, if you made it this far in the episode, we appreciate you giving us a listen. We hope you might have gleaned some new information, might have learned something, or at least found the topic interesting. Give us a like and follow on your favorite social medias and on your favorite listening device or service of choice. We, of course, appreciate it. We'll be back next Tuesday, with a new topic. If you have anything you want us to bring up, please send us the email, requiredtastepodcast@gmail.com, or just hit us up on social media. We actually do check our messages, so feel free to message us. Let us know what topic you'd like us cover. Other than that, we appreciate it, of course, and y'all be cool.